One of the sweetest Hanukkah traditions is Sufganiyot, which is a jelly-filled donut served during the holiday. I have a version here that's much simpler. It's not a yeast dough like the original, and it's not jam-filled. Instead, it's studded with apples. Very easy to make. Start with 2 cups of all-purpose flour. To that, add a teaspoon of coarse salt and 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar and 2 1/4 teaspoons of baking powder. This is our leavening, along with the eggs, to get that nice, light, fluffy donut with that crispy exterior. That all gets whisked together quite simply to aerate. And then for the wet ingredients, we have 3/4 cup of whole milk, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Be sure it's pure vanilla extract and not the imitation stuff. And 2 large eggs. These should be at room temperature if you planned ahead. Whisk these together just until they're combined. And set these aside while you work on your apples. We're looking for about 3 cups of diced apple. Use a Macintosh, a Gala, a Roma. Any sweet, crisp apple will do here. The peel is a little tough, so we don't want that in our donuts. And I have breaking news to make your life a little easier. You do not have to core your apples. You can very simply cut around the core. And while you're doing this, your oil should be heating. That does take a while. You'll want a couple of inches of oil in a deep pot and let it come to 350 degrees. Apples oxidize very quickly, so you'll want to do this just before you put your batter together and not cut them up ahead of time. Just pour the wet ingredients right into the center of the dry ingredients. We don't want to overwork this batter, so just fold the wet into the dry with a spatula and apples right in. And just fold these in to combine until they all seem evenly distributed. Our oil is up to 350 degrees and ready for our dough. And I also have a rimmed baking sheet lined with a cooling rack that our fried donuts will go onto. So if you have a handy little scoop, this is ideal, these ice cream scoops. Drop these in carefully. I have about 2 inches of oil in here. I'm using safflower oil, which I like, but you can use any neutral vegetable oil. You don't want to crowd the oil because the temperature will drop too much. So just keep an eye on your thermometer and be sure that it's not dropping below, about 320 degrees. Having your oil a little too hot is definitely better than having it a little too cold. If it's not hot enough, you're just going to have a pale, soggy, oily tasting donut, and that's not a good idea. These will need about 3 to 4 minutes per batch until the outside is crispy golden brown. The inside will be nice and soft and fluffy, but cooked through. You can see they're taking on a nice golden color, and they're starting to puff up. This one looks beautiful to me, so I'm going to pull that one aside. Our fritters are fried and crispy. That beautiful light dough studded with little bits of apple. And then, just before you're going to serve them, a nice shower of confectioner sugar. Go wild. You can't have enough powdered sugar on top of a donut. You'll be making these again and again. They're absolutely divine.